Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the Art with World. I am your host, Arshad Waheed. Today, we are going to discuss how words, images, and sounds can be combined to create a realm of memory, history, and human condition. And our guest today is Ms. Emanuela Gasbarroni, who is a filmmaker, journalist, and historian. Her films have been telecast on various international channels like BBC World, and her film Escape to Freedom was nominated for Golden Globe Award. She has also authored a history book, Cold War in Italy, and for the past 3 years, she has been doing a theatrical reading titled as Roots in the Air by combining images and poetry to tell the stories of her native town, Latina, in Italy. Welcome to our show,
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very fine.
Thank you very much for coming to our show.
Thank you.
You have worked in writing history books, making films, working with radio and in print media, a very reputable Italian newspaper, La Repubblica, right? So, tell us about your journey. How did you discover your passion for filmmaking or writing history book, and how did you decide that which is the form you have to take for your future work?
First of all, at the base of all my activities, there is a need to communicate, to tell the stories. So, I am a professional journalist. I was a chief editor in a local radio, but very important radio, for 13 years. And then I was correspondent for regional televisions, for the news. And then I worked in important newspaper. The newspaper in my town for 6 years as correspondent of an important national newspaper like La Repubblica. And I almost 15 years I was only a journalist, very, very committed, very engaged to tell the story from economy, from people killed, from the cat on the tree, every kind of stories. And of course I did in different ways with radio, and I also like to invent many formats to tell the story in a very impressive way, and of course in all the way how to communicate, there is always an evolution, there is an improvement how you communicate. And at the early years of 2000, I started to work with consultant companies who was engaged in international cooperation, and so I started to do documentaries, especially in Arabic countries, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, Jordan, Tunisia, Morocco, Egyptian, on issues like environment, human rights.
Migration.
Also migration, because when you talk about environment, is a word that has inside many other subjects. Migration is one of these, because if you talk about environment, you talk about climate change, for example. And if we talk about Arabic countries of the Mediterranean, we talk about region and area where there is a growing population and there is climate change. So, for example, the matter of the water is crucial in that part of the world. And I did a series about the water and all different aspects of the matter. So water and war, water and conflicts, water and conservation, water and health. And so in many years I did almost 15 documentaries in that area, but also in Indonesia, and in many parts of Europe that were broadcasted by Arabic television, in Italy from Rai, and also on BBC World.
Okay. So any particular reason to make documentaries about Arab world, mainly across Mediterranean?
Mediterranean countries are very close to Italy, not only for a geographical point of view, because if you consider, I don't know, Libya or Tunisia is 1 hour of flight to Italy, but also from a cultural point of view we are close. Also if there is a different religion, but many aspects of way to do, lifestyle, and also how to approach the problems very similar. I started in a very casual way in Syria in 2002, talking about compiling stories of an Italian researcher who was there to do a project, an environmental project, and they did a huge discoveries about bald ibis. And I went there to shoot the story that was broadcasted on BBC World. Then I also wrote articles for many important news magazines. And from there, I was in contact with TVA London, that is Television for the Environment. Is not a television, is an organization who produce contents for television all over the world, also for BBC World. And so I created TV Med, Television for the Environment Mediterranean, and after Syria continue to do other contents about environment, human rights, many, but always in that part of the world, because I like very much, because there were many important aspects to talk about, and so it happened.
I watched, I mean, there was screening of your movie yesterday.
In Islamabad.
Yeah, and I watched that. It was Escape to Freedom.
Yes.
It was fantastic, and
thank you.
It's the same movie which was nominated for Golden Globe.
Yes.
Okay. How did this idea come to your mind to tell the story of that camp of refugees, and then find those characters which lived there, and then you interviewed them? So how did this idea come to your mind?
Many interesting questions you are doing. After around 10 years that I was doing documentaries abroad, I told to myself that it was the time to do a documentary about something that was more close to me, not only to my town, to my environment, to my personal story, but of course not to talk about the story of my family, but to talk about something that is universal. And in my town, there was this refugee camp in the period, in the age of Cold War, which reflect what happened during the Cold War from a geopolitical point of view. It reflected in this camp. Why? Because this camp started exactly after the invasion of Hungary from Soviet Union. Soviet Union invaded Hungary in 1956.
Yeah.
A mass of people decided to leave their countries. Around 250,000 of people in the next months left the countries. And so after the Second World War, all the international organizations for first time had the problem to deal with this huge mass of people moving from a country, arrive in the rest of Europe, in the Western Europe. There were many camps, many refugee camps, especially in Austria and in Italy many, but the main important refugee camps were in three towns, Trieste, Latina, and Capua. Then Trieste and Capua closed, and Latina was the most important.
Okay.
So 1957 start this camp and finish in 1989 when there is the Berlin Wall falling down. For 30 years, in this camp arrived 100,000 of people, not only from Hungary, but also from other countries of Eastern Europe. Bulgaria, Romania, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, Albania, etc., etc., etc. And after a few months in this camp, they went to Canada, Australia, and the United States. But these months in the camp were crucial for them because they can go outside the camp and do a life in the town. So everybody of citizens of Latina had some contacts, and today I have many memories. Also my family, because my family, and I remember because I was very young, hosted some refugees that were in the camp. So they were in the camp, but for lunch, for dinner, for Christmas time, for parties, they were welcome in our home.
So I think it might have taken a lot of work to find those work and efforts to do research on that and find those people who had lived there and then left and had gone to different countries. And then how did you find them, and how did you contact them to become part of your film project?
I had only my memories of a child, and I didn't know any other aspects. So I knew these refugees. Then I have in my house, in the house of my parents, all the letters that arrived every Christmas time, every Easter time. These people that we hosted, they wrote us from New York, from Canada, saying how are you, best wishes, etc. So my memory, the only information I had were this one. And so I started, first of all, writing to the international organization that were in charge to manage this camp. First of all, I commissioned United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. I wrote to them, you have documents, you have contacts, what do you have? And they told me, oh, listen, we have not too much, but there is a man who wrote us who is doing 30th anniversary Freedom Walk. After 30 years, he's doing back the travel with his family. So I was in contact with him, and I spoke with him, and it could be a very interesting story for me. Then I knew that in the State's archives in my town, there were all the documents of the camp, around 300,000 documents. So I went there and I found a huge amount of documents to study, and also many photographs, very, very, very nice photographies, very, very, very interesting, because they told me many things with the documents. Then I wrote to the municipality to say that I was doing this film, if they had some news, some documents, etc., etc. And they told me, no, we have nothing, but there is a man, a Romanian who lives in Paris, who wrote us a few days ago complaining that there is a plug in front of the camp. Today there is an university when there is the camp, and 10, 20 years ago and someone put a plug to remember the Hungarian that arrived in the camp. So this Romanian wrote to the municipality to say, listen, not only Hungarian arrived, but also Romanian, Czech, Yugoslavian, Bulgarian, etc. Why you mention only Hungarian? Anyway, they gave me the contact. I wrote him, I interviewed him, and he lives in Paris, he has a blog. He wrote on this blog that I was doing a documentaries about this subject. This blog was read from Aurelia, a Polish woman who lives in Canada, who escaped in the 80s when she was 20 from Poland, and she wrote me. So this one became the three main character of my film, and in the film I also revealed of these crossing lives that contact me in some way. So they did actions to be found by me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Of course, I also found many other people. Many, not many, but some of them didn't want to talk about.
It must have been very painful for them to
yes,
recall
to
everything
yes,
which happened,
yes,
which was
yes.
not a good experience for them.
Because it's a strong experience to know, to live everything of your life, to abandon your friends, your parents, your language, your culture, and you don't know if you can see again. And you are so young, you have nothing. You have, of course, a lot of hope, but sometimes the hope is not enough to deal with a new life. And then you arrive in a camp where there are many other people with different nationalities all together. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's an experience that everybody thank the life of everybody, but not everybody, how I can say, close a circle. And I talk about also this aspect in my film.
So what was their experience to address their concerns, like leaving their own countries, leaving their loved ones, and living in a very different territory? So what they used to do, I mean, to deal with their pain and miseries?
Allora, when they were in the camp, arrived many kind of people, from artists to doctors to engineers to workers to people that have problem with the laws, not criminals but thieves or something other. So there were many different kind of skills, many. In the documents I found that there are, in the book that then I wrote, I put the list of all the kind of skills of the people. And so everybody reacted in different way when they were in the camp. The people that arrived with the families, of course it was more easy because they had a group of people to stay together, and then the camp for the families, they had a reserved place. It was much more easy. But for example, for the women alone, young, could be also dangerous, for example.
Yeah.
And many of them, they work in the countryside, and many friendships were born, many. It depends from the cultural level, from the way to adapt to a situation. It was not easy, but there were not, nobody refused them. In 30 years, never there was a racism action against these people, never.
Okay.
I don't know, written on the wall or something, never.
Okay, great.
So it's important, also because as I show in the film and I say in the book, public administration didn't do anything to put in contact the citizens of Latina and the citizens of the camp. So all the contacts were spontaneous.
While you were making this film and listening to their painful stories, it must have been a very...
But of course, it happened one thing while I was shooting. I don't know if you remember the scene when Aurelia entered in the room that today is a room for the students to study. And that one was the bedroom where Aurelia lived for many months. Before to shoot the scene, I entered in the room saying to the students, listen, now we do this scene, please don't see the camera, and I said many things. I believed to be very, very quiet. I entered, I started to say this thing, to say now Aurelia, who lived here, will enter in the room, so please don't see her, don't say nothing, blah, 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 blah. While I was saying this thing, I started crying because in that moment I was Aurelia that came back there. And then another scene very strong is when we have shot in the archives, when Aurelia find her documents, her photo when she was 20, and she started to cry. There we shot, then I say stop, and I went to her and I hugged her because, and we cried together. Yes, it was, but still now I watched my film, I don't know, 30, 40 times. Every time I am very, it's a big emotion for me to see that film.
And did you expect that this film would be a great success, like to be nominated for Golden Globe is a great thing?
I did, of course, I did with my best. I edited this film with a very important editor who already won many prizes with another film that he did. And he did a story of migration very similar to mine. For this reason, I chose him to edit the film. And we did the best. Then I applied for very few awards. And when from the Italian Golden Globe, they communicated that I was selected, wow, I was very happy. No, I didn't expect, because hundreds of films participated to the selections, very, very good documentary film. And now you know documentaries no more interviews and speakers. Documentaries are creative documentaries, so very, very where the reality is very strong and very emotional films. So the films who participated to the selection of Italian Golden Globe, many of them I had watched and were very, very good films.
So you are a journalist as well, and you are a historian as well. But why did you select this medium of film to portray this story, to portray this situation?
But then I did the book. But many people ask why you did before the film and after the book. This is the book, no?
Okay, great.
Italia, la guerra fredda, Italy and the Cold War. The film is a film. It's not the didascalic is not only a sequence of facts, of events. It's three stories of three people who met each other, and you have seen. The book is completely different. It's not a screenplay. It's an historical book, so with all the footnotes, with all the sources that I found, all the documents are mentioned, also many oral histories, many pictures, many video. The sources are many, not only documents and records. And but there are also many other. Every events, every story could be declined in several ways.
Yeah.
Could be a book, could be a theatrical performance, could be a film, could be a small video on TikTok. Then we have now so many ways that I think are very interesting to share and to let the people know some particular stories.
So you also did a lot of research
Yes.
while you were making this film, and I guess hundreds of thousands documents you reviewed for this film, and are the book you have written, Cold War in Italy.
I start the research for the film in 2013. In 2015, I started to shoot. So 2 years only to do the research for the film, to look for the people, to understand. And I also started to manage the documents. The film was presented in 2017. Because then to shoot, you see, in Paris, in Toronto, in Belgrade, in Timisoara, in Italy, many different locations there are in the film and different stories.
Okay.
And but the book was ready. I wrote in almost 10 years because it was ready in 2024. And I managed, yes, a lot of documents.
Great. Well, while watching your film, one realizes that it's not only about Italy, or it's not only about the refugees from Eastern Europe, from Poland or Hungary, Czechoslovakia, or other countries around that area, but it has a universal message. It tells about human situation which is disturbed by migration, being refugees, losing identity,
Yes.
and struggling again to find meanings of life in a very different place. In countries like ours, like Pakistan, we have also witnessed these immigration experiences. Like once when Pakistan was created in 1947, there was a huge migration across the two countries. And then in recent decades, we have seen Afghan refugees living in Pakistan. So it's a universal message. Do you think, have you seen that refugees issue in Pakistan is in any way different from refugees experience you witnessed in Italy in this camp?
There are some differences, and there are 80% points that unify all the stories of migration. Who leave their countries doesn't want to leave their country.
Yeah.
If they leave because they are forced from economic situation, environmental situation, related to human rights, related to respect of the religion, related to the respect of the life, many reasons. But if you are not pushed, and these reasons are so strong to push you, you wouldn't leave your beloved people, your country, your culture, your language, your food, your life. Saying this, when you leave, and you are forced to leave, you live in many of the times in poor conditions.
Yeah.
And when you arrive in another countries, you are in poor conditions. So many times, it's not the fear, it's not a problem or a matter of racism. It's a matter to have the fear or to be far from the people that is poor, that has nothing, and is a menace for you, and you think that if he's poor, he needs something, then you have to provide. I say in a very simple way. So the migrant is a perfect enemy, perfect, and can be used from a political point of view, because he doesn't vote, and all the local people see the other as a menace. This is universal. In the case of the story of refugees that I talk about, is a bit different from the situation that there is today. In 30 years arrived 100,000 of people. It's the number that now of the migrants that arrived in 1 year in Italy. So the proportion of numbers is different. And then there is also a difference that these refugees were blonde, with blue eyes, with white skin, with no religion. Many of them were engineers, doctors, today who arrives is often from Africa, different religion, So it's much more other the the governors can do, put the people in the condition not to be one against the other, but to share experience, to share possibility, to share, because we are human beings. Allora you can say, no, before, let's take Italian government had to think to Italians and after the others. But we have the possibilities to occupy of Italians and the others. And so it's not a matter of, and as human beings, we cannot live without solidarity, because we become not human beings. And it's not a matter to be a moralist, good person, oh, I am generous. No, it's normal to not say I don't care. Because if you say always I don't care, you become alone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And what other themes and subjects you have touched in your documentary films? Like you were telling issues of water and climate change, human rights.
Yes, and a lot. This series about water, it was 4 films about of the technique of conservation of the water. Then one it was about health, one it was about climate change, and one it was about conflicts. So all the solutions. I started from this thought. European Union was funded. Why? Because there was the problem after the Second World War to manage the steel and the coal and the carbon that German had. So the other countries say, we cannot leave that. The Germany, especially France, say, Germany in 70 years attacked us twice. No, we cannot leave that they manage all these goods. So let's do a group of countries, and Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Italy, France, and Germany funded the first step of European Union. The name was another one. It was CECA. That means European Confederation of Carbon Cools and Carbon and Cools. So, how it's a problem, how to manage a resource, could be an opportunity to put together. So, doing these documentaries about water, it is the lack of water impact for growing population, for climate change in this part of the world is a problem. How could be an opportunity to put together all these countries?
And do you think instead, I mean, of course, one writes on these things as well in newspapers and books, but it's good to make documentary films on these issues to have a better impact on people.
You know, it's the same when you write an article, when we did this program, we don't know which impact there is, but we hope that talk about, to produce, to think about an issues, it's important to produce the thoughts about important issues. It's important to compare, to share, to confront, to talk about the story of the others. It's important, yes. Then the impact, you don't know. It depends also from who here.
I also want to talk about your experiment of this theatrical reading.
Yes.
Roots in the Air.
Yes.
And in which you combine images and music to tell the story of your native town, Latina, which is 60, 70 kilometers from Rome.
Yes.
So how did this idea come into your mind, and what is its impact on others?
That is another chapter of my communication stories. I live in a town that is a new town, like Islamabad. Islamabad was founded in 1967. My town was founded in 1932. So very new town. And usually what the people say about this new town, they have no story, they have no tradition, they have nothing to talk about. And it's not true, because there are a lot that you can say, but from a different point of view. If you won't find in Islamabad or in my town, Latina, an historical monument, you don't find. If you won't find frescoes in a building, you cannot find. But you can talk about other aspects. You can talk about all the stories of all the people that arrived here. So you have not one story, you have many interesting stories. You have a plot, for example, of people in my town arrived from north, from south. So nobody is the other, because everybody of us are others. And I am sure that also in Islamabad there is the same situation, where you have different accents, different way to cook food, different memories, because everybody arrived from many different parts. And this is very interesting from an anthropological, social, and also historical point of view. And so I want to talk about my town with the narration. Then there is an actor who told personal stories of the first doctor, the first butcher, the first, I don't know, worker, all the person for the first time did something in the town. Then there is the support of wonderful images. And then there is musicians who propose music of Kurt Weill, Piazzolla, all musicians who talk about the migration, because also Islamabad is a place of migration. All people arrived here from other parts. Can you imagine how it's important to talk about, for example, from the master plan to the first people that arrived, what do they found, what do they invent to build this town? It's very interesting. And I did with my town. And first time it was a surprise. I didn't know which was could be the reactions. It was full of people, a lot of clap, and the invitation to replicate, to do again. And we arrived at the 7th performance. The next one is 4th of July in a wonderful archaeological site. And many people say, do again, do again, do again, because we need to talk about.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's a very good tradition because many children, maybe they are born in Islamabad, they might not be knowing about local history and culture. They might be knowing everything about Lahore, Karachi, New York, London, all the big cities, but other big cities, but they might not be knowing what was here before this city was established, and then what was the culture here, what kind of people lived here. So, because there was a lot of population who already lived around these areas.
It's why roots in the air? Because I say in the script, we have not the roots with here, with tradition. No, we are roots in the air, like the orchidea, the flowers that has the roots. You can leave also the roots in the air, not only in the earth.
Yeah.
And towards in the earth, towards the north, the south, the sea, where all the people arrived here. And it's a condition that make you different, probably more open to welcome other people that are different from you. Because if you hear in Islamabad someone that has a different accent, you don't say, you are not from Islamabad, because everybody, I guess, has different accent in Islamabad, because nobody was born in Islamabad, of course. In my town, I am the first generation of mother born in Latina. All my generation, I was born in 1960, all my generation, the parents, nobody was born in Latina. My children, for first time, they have mother and father born in Latina. And this is very interesting.
Okay. So, how was your experience in Pakistan? You lived here for some time.
Very, very good. I found a country with very good people, very nice, very respectful. All the Pakistan that I knew, not only that I met, that I knew, were very interesting, very good people inside. And for me, it was really a very good experience.
Okay. So, did you think of making some documentary film about Pakistan?
Could be. There are, for example, I you know that since 70 years there is an Italian archaeological mission that operates, and Giuseppe Tucci, who is an archaeologist, arrived in 1955, called from Wali of Swat, and started this important mission of discoveries. And it's two personalities that were very interesting, because Wali of Swat in 1955, he was very, very open-minded. He realized roads, hospitals, schools, and Tucci was also very important. So it's interesting, these two men that meet and do something very great for the countries. Unfortunately, I couldn't go outside Islamabad for security reasons. So I will come back with a touristic visa to visit Gilgit-Baltistan, Chitral, Lahore. I really would like to visit this wonderful country.
Yeah, that would be great.
For me, especially.
So, you had been working on archaeology in Pakistan, like all these sites, and I mean, you did not go there, but you were looking after the project of architectural sites in these northern areas like Swat and.
No, it's I know that there is this archaeological mission. When you say me which kind of documentaries you could do in Pakistan, I say that there are stories very interesting that put in contact also Italy with Pakistan, and this is one of these, of course.
Okay. So, what are your future projects? I mean, are you going to make some new documentaries?
When I go back in Italy, I have many projects, and I have to explore some ideas. When I was here, many proposals arrived to do documentaries, and now I want to go back and explore with to understand well what to do. But I have many ideas. Then I probably I will come back and I will tell you.
Yeah, sure. You're most welcome. So you think film is a good medium to interpret history and talk about people's environmental problems?
Yes, there are many ways to communicate. No, we talk about documentaries is very long, usually 52 minutes. My film is 70 minutes. But today there are also many ways, like short video, trailer, that in few minutes you can talk about, because you show many. The video show doesn't describe, show you. But there are many ways, as we say. It could be a theatrical performance, could be a graphic novel, could be an exhibition, photographs exhibition, could be a book. It's important that who wants to communicate is curious. The curiosity, first of all, I am interested to your story before to talk about, first of all. Okay. So to be a journalist, to be a person who wants to communicate, the first thing you need to be curious.
Okay. And you want to do further theatrical readings, like on some new subject other than your hometown?
I have some ideas. For example, I would like to do with the theatrical performance of words and photo and video and music. You really can describe many stories, from a personal story of you to the story of a monument, for example. Behind the monument, there are so many things to talk about, no? Who did the project, the workers who, if you talk about, I don't know, Colosseum in Rome, everybody knows that. Can you imagine how many things you can talk about? And if you read on a historical book, could be boring. But if you performance in a simple way, in an emotional way, it arrives more. Okay. The emotions are crucial to talk about a subject. The anthropologists say that we are intelligent for the emotion, because the emotion helps us to elaborate the information. If we have only information without emotion, we are computers.
Thank you very much for being with us this evening. It was wonderful talking to you, and we look forward to you coming back here and make some new documentaries and see beautiful country of Pakistan, right?
Thank you very much to you, and thank you very much to all the people who had the patience and the interest to follow us.
Yeah. So viewers, thank you very much for watching us. See you next Sunday, same time.